Time now for another vlog. And if you have a vlog suggestion that I've yet to do, be sure and check the vlogs playlist first. Feel free and send your vlog ideas my way via the comment section, Twitter, Facebook, or Discord. All the links to the Go Burns Nation in the description section. And if you have a vlog idea or topic that you wish to remain anonymous, we can do that too. All you gotta do is DM me via Twitter, the Facebook page, or over on Discord, and let me know that you wish to remain anonymous. Today we're vlogging about monsters. Now, there are many types of monsters. I think when most of you think of a monster, when I bring up that word, you probably imagine Frankenstein's monster, or Dracula, the Wolfman, or Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, just to name a few ideas of a monster, or even a comic book villain like Joker, Thanos, Loki, the Green Goblin. But within each and every one of us, there is a good side and a bad side. Now, I would like to believe that most people are more good than evil, but deep within all of us, even the best of humanity, there is a monster that lurks in the shadows. And that monster has been with us for a very long time. Probably going all the way back to the times when we were cavemen or wherever we came from. I know there's always debate about that. That's not the point. But since the early days of humanity, when we were foragers, when we were hunter-gatherers, out there on the plains of Africa or in caves or wherever we came from, we had to probably do some pretty nasty things. Well, our ancestors did, in order to survive, in order to be able to provide for their tribe. And not all of it was about hunting, gathering, fruits and berries. A lot of it was having to go out there, and in order to eat, they had to hunt down animals like woolly mammoths and other creatures that existed thousands of years ago. Some of them probably are still around. Well, they're specific species. But at the same time, in order to do something like that, you have to kind of go there, right? Go to that dark place. We are predators, more or less. That's basically what we're defined as. And I realize scientifically you would probably say that we're omnivores because look at our diet. We eat meat, we eat fruits and vegetables, so we're omnivores. And even look at our teeth, because my sister's a dentist, I might as well bring that up. The front of our teeth are designed for chewing meat. Our back teeth are designed for grinding vegetables like lettuce, spinach, other things as well. And just because you're an omnivore doesn't mean you're not a predator. A lot of members of the ape species are omnivores as well, and they're technically predators. And a lot of bears are omnivores. And I definitely think that most people would not debate the reality that a bear, a big giant grizzly bear, for example, is most definitely an apex predator. So I think a lot of that within us is because of our own heritage, if you will, our evolution. From thousands upon thousands of years, we've had to, in a lot of situations, in order to survive, we've had to bring out that monster within us. And it's carried over throughout, the centuries, from the rise of brutal dictators and emperors, and, for example, other atrocities that have happened, not just under the ancient Caesars of the day or other. Now, I'm not just trying to finger out and point out the Roman Empire, but there's plenty of others like Babylonians, the Sumerians, as well as, well, you get the idea. Most of these ancient kingdoms had a lot of bad, nasty stuff happen, like blood sports, gladiatorial events, sacrificial stuff that happened throughout ancient Mexico and South America through various Native American tribes from long time ago, like the Aztecs, the Incas, for example. Obviously bringing out the worst aspects of human nature, Because we look at them today and we're like, how could they be so brutal to each other? Why would they do that to each other? Why would they treat each other like crap and murder people just to try and appease these gods that probably didn't exist to begin with? So, yeah, I mean, to us, the way people lived a long time ago, they were monsters, what they did to each other, especially slavery. The fact that you take a fellow man, fellow woman, and you put them into bondage and you treat them like they're lesser than you are, only a monster would do that. In my opinion, anyways. So, unfortunately, yeah, we all have that within us. Even if you are the best person. And I'm not trying to say you are the best person. What I'm implying is that, like, most of the time, you're good to people, your family, your friends, you pay your taxes, your bills, you don't lie or cheat on anybody, overall, you're a very honest, decent person. Despite that fact, even within you, somewhere deep down inside, in the darkness, is that monster. And unfortunately, we don't just see it in movies. We don't just see it in comics or books or TV shows. We see it occurring in real life. Like throughout the 20th century, we had several monsters rise up. Adolf Hitler, Stalin, Mao, Pol Pot, just to name a few. And even lesser known monsters have come and gone. And you don't have to be a dictator in order to become qualified to be a monster. Plenty of serial killers that we know about, like Jack the Ripper, John Wayne Gacy. Yeah, I don't think I need to go through that list. Because one thing I don't like doing, this is one thing I hate, is giving any of these monsters any sort of acknowledgement or notoriety. I'm just using some case in points here. Specifically, the mass shooters that have occurred for a while now. I mean, unfortunately, mass shootings haven't exactly been a new thing in American history. But it does seem like in 2018 we've had a lot of school shootings. And whoever is the trigger person behind those shootings, I'm not going to name their names. I don't acknowledge them, unlike the mainstream media. They're monsters. They're terrorists, whatever you want to call them. But at their core, they allowed that monster to take control. I don't know what exactly happened in their life that led them down that path. Was it a poor upbringing? Was it bullying? Was it this or that? Was it a cry for help? Was it because somebody they were interested in didn't feel the same way? And they just went ballistic and they allowed that darkness to get the better of them? There's no excuse for it, though. None whatsoever. It doesn't matter if you were bullied, because I was bullied. It doesn't matter if you were rejected by somebody, because I've been rejected plenty of times. None of that matters, because it happens to all of us. It's life. It's a reality we have to deal with. The only justifiable reason I have for ever, taking a life, if that does happen, is if somebody's threatening my life. If I have no choice, no other recourse but to defend myself or family or loved ones or friends from an immediate threat, a danger. That's the only time I would ever consider taking somebody else's life. And I know that I play violent video games. I know, like this one, for example. But statistically, it's been proven, and I pointed this out in a previous vlog, that less than 20% of mass shooters play violent video games. And there's also studies out there that have proven quite the opposite, that playing a video game like Grand Theft Auto actually helps people. And I've made that case numerous occasions throughout other vlogs and videos I've done over the past 4 years. Not just the vlogs channel, but also the other channel, where I've played Grand Theft Auto since I was in my teens. The original on the original PlayStation, and Grand Theft Auto 2 on PC, along with all the 3D Grand Theft Autos on last gen, and now Grand Theft Auto 5, as well as Grand Theft Auto Online, and other violent games. But not once have I ever gone out on a killing spree in real life, because I and most gamers understand the difference. And there have been plenty of times in school, in college, bad day at work, for example, or just a bad week in general, where I was angry, where I was in a bad mood, and I needed a mental punching bag. And fortunately, there was a game like Grand Theft Auto there for me. So I could go into this world that's not real and do whatever the hell I want. Drive at high speeds in a sexy car, or carry out mass wanton destruction, which I've done on a few occasions, admittedly, in a video game. Afterwards, I felt better. I'm not saying that's for everybody. Some people may be better off putting on some boxing gloves and going up to a punching bag. But I consider this to be my mental punching bag. And I guess it's a way of keeping that monster at bay that lurks within me, because I too have a dark side, and I too have made mistakes in my life that have brought the monster out once or twice, unfortunately. It has gotten the better of me, but fortunately, it hasn't led to anything like horrific. And I think that's just a reality, is that sometimes you have a bad day, some days you just snap at somebody, you yell at somebody, you do something that you end up regretting doing, and it doesn't cause any permanent damage, but sometimes the monster within you, if you leave it unchecked, will get the better of you. And that's one thing you have to always be mindful of, that monster that lurks in the shadows. I don't know if it has something to do with the devil, demons. I'm not trying to be religious here. I do believe that there's some sort of balance, like a good side, a bad side, the light, the dark, whatever you want to call it, the yin and the yang. I think there's something that exists beyond our own knowledge, because we claim to know everything. We're so smart. We're so technologically advanced. We have all this science stuff, right? Now, I think we've come a long ways over the past 2,000 years, but I think that we still have a lot to learn. And I don't know if any religion is the truth. I honestly don't. I'm not here to tell you what to believe or not believe. That is entirely up to you. Entirely. But what I will say is that I do believe that there's more to this life than this. At least I'd like to believe that. And I think beyond that, there is something that connects us all together. And I do think that within each and every one of us, there is this balance. There is a good side to you and me. There's also a dark side. And we see that coming out time and time again. And we don't even have to go to the extremes of mass shooters or dictators or other acts of cruelty, brutality, like with what happened during the Salem witch trials or the Spanish Inquisition, persecution, along with intolerance, racism, hatred. These things also bring out the monster. The idea that somebody is better than somebody else because they were born a specific pigment, or they happen to have a certain color eyes, or they come from a certain part of the world, or they speak a certain language, or they have a certain belief that they believe is superior to everyone else's, and that justifies them going and killing anyone else that doesn't believe what they believe in, or look like what they look like, or treating people lesser, or putting people into bondage, like unfortunately past ancestors did, or believing in the right of manifest destiny, to where you think that you have every right to push people off their land that their ancestors had long before your ancestors came here. Those are the acts of monsters. And unfortunately, both sides have had their share of monsters come out. During the Native American wars, we've seen acts of brutality by Native American tribes. But there was a lot of brutality by, the other side too. Two wrongs don't really make a right. And I think the moral of the story here is, as long as we continue to allow that monster to get the better of us, to control us, it continues to divide us as a people, as a species. And yeah, a lot of terrible, nasty things have happened throughout history. Not just recently, not just in the 20th century or the 19th century, but you keep going far enough back, and you see a lot of brutality carried out, one group against the other. You know, from one nation against another, one tribe against another, one civilization against another. It's unfortunate. I mean, history is filled with atrocities and darkness and acts of cruelty carried out by monsters. But at the same time, I do sincerely believe that we can get the better of that monster that is within us. And unfortunately, there's a lot of division in this world. I see it. And like where I live in this country, America, that's where I live. Most of you probably know that. Politics haven't been more divided than ever. I mean, it's been getting more divided over the years, but it just feels like each year it becomes more divisive. And I know I'm going to go political for a minute. Maybe one day I'll bring back the political channel if I keep doing this. But anyways, you see it on both sides. The right, the left, constantly demonizing each other. Name calling, all this nonsense. Instead of, trying to find some common ground, instead of working together and seeing each other as human beings that just happen to have some different opinions, realizing that we're all in this together, that this is our country, and that both you assholes need to put aside this kindergarten behavior. That's an insult to kindergartens, by the way, because I think kindergartners probably behave a lot better than most of our politics on both sides of the aisle. And unfortunately, that's what you do, because they dehumanize each other. They belittle each other. They trash talk each other. And how it is going on Twitter and saying nasty things about your opponents are people that happen to have a different letter by their name, like a D or an R or whatever. How is that solving any problems? How is that making things better in this country? When you have the president doing it, when you have various politicians in Congress and the Senate doing it, it doesn't matter if they're Republican or Democrat, in my opinion. They're all doing it. Not all of them, but most of them are doing it. I guess that's the more correct word, most of them. And you continue to do that, and you continue to have people that rally around this group or that group, and they're name calling too, then you see that the division is getting worse and worse, because we're allowing that monster to get the better of us. That darkness within us is like, yeah, we gotta poke somebody that's different than us. We gotta chastise them. We gotta criticize them. We gotta call them all these names. We have to say things that make them sound like the worst thing in existence ever. Instead of being like, okay, well, this person disagrees with me because of this, this, and this. I disagree with them because this, and that. Well, what do we agree on? Is there any way for us to actually have a civil conversation? Sit down, put all this on the table, and work things out in the hopes that we can find some sort of common ground. Instead of putting that monster aside and seeing each other as human beings, unfortunately, that's what we do. We see each other as a monster. It's like, they're monsters because of this, and no, they're the monsters because of that. In other words, we're allowing the monster to get the better of us in so many ways. And honestly, I don't know how we can get people past that. I would like to believe that there's some sort of flow that happens where you have this extremism in the United States right now, and probably other countries too, unfortunately, where you have the right and the left like as far apart from each other as they've ever been. But I also like to believe that just like with a wave, where you have waves that go up and down and crash, eventually, hopefully, just hopefully, we can all take a step back and look inside ourselves, or stand in front of a mirror and realize that maybe we're allowing that monster to get the better of us, and do something about it. And maybe that will lead towards us calming down, getting back to the center, back to the middle, back to some common ground. That's what I want. And I think that's the issue. When we start looking at each other as fellow human beings, despite our differences, whether you're, one pigment or another, or one nationality, or one religious belief or one philosophical opinion about politics, or your sexual orientation, whether you're straight or gay or bi like me or trans or something else. It doesn't matter. We're all human beings, each and every one of us. And that's what should matter here. We're all in the same beautiful world together. And we're lucky to have this world, even though we mistreat it. And I know I've vlogged about that numerous times over the years. Despite our differences, despite how different I am with my blue eyes, that doesn't make me any better than somebody with green eyes or brown eyes. And somebody taller than me, because I'm only 5'5", that doesn't make them any better or worse than me because they're taller, or anyone shorter than me worse, like a little person that's, under 5 foot tall. It doesn't make them any less of a person than me just because of height issues, or whether or not somebody is in really fantastic shape or average shape with a dad bod, or somebody that's got a six-pack. None of this matters. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter where you come from. We're all human beings, whether you're rich or you're poor, or you're beautiful, or you're not as attractive as you wish you were. We all have good qualities. That's the problem. Each and every one of us have great qualities. But we focus so much on what we don't have. Look, I wish I was a few inches taller. I would like to be taller than 5'5", but I'm not. It's just the way it goes. And the same can be said for a lot of people. But be grateful for what you do have. Be grateful for the good qualities that each of us got. Because you do have good qualities. You all have positive traits. And when you focus on what you don't have, when you become petty and jealous of, oh, well, so-and-so, he gets all the girls or all the guys because he's taller than me, or like she's more attractive because of this and that, or so-and-so gets more attention because of this, and they get, more views or more subscribers because of blah, 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 then that allows that darkness within each and every one of us to grow. And it allows the monster within to gain strength. And in order to keep that monster at bay, you have to deny it the nourishment of pettiness, of jealousy, of greed, of anger. And it's hard sometimes, specifically when you are trying to grow a channel and you see, and I mentioned this a few weeks ago, you see another channel that had maybe 1,000 or 1,600 subscribers, and somehow their channel is growing. And it doesn't make sense how or why their channel is growing. It's just happening. But when you fixate on that, like I was doing, it brings out this darkness in you because you become angry about it. You're like, well, I've put all this hard work into this, and I've been putting out the same videos, and yet they just started, or I guess recently, or else they restarted their channel, whatever. And then all of a sudden they're getting, for whatever rhyme or reason, all these crazy views for their videos, even though they were much smaller than me. And then they, before you know it, within a month, they're larger than me, subscriber-wise. Yeah, I could fixate on that. I could become angry about how or why that happened. And what does it accomplish? It doesn't accomplish a damn thing. Because it just happened. I had no control of it. I don't know why. Was it because of luck that their videos were getting in the YouTube search engines and algorithms? Mine weren't. Is it because they were doing shady nonsense? Because that's also a thing. I don't know. But what I do know is that I have to be happy with what I have. I have to be grateful for what I got. And I am. For my friends, for my family, for those that I care about in my life, for my pets, and for my channel. For all 7,000 plus subscribers that decided to join the Go Burns Nation, to watch my videos and my content. And I think that's the issue, because we always want more. We always crave to have more. And hopefully one day, if it's meant to be, my channel will be bigger. It'll blow up one day, hopefully. I know, going on over 4 years, sometimes it does seem less likely, and I can be pessimistic, and maybe that's not good, because that allows the darkness to get a little bit of an edge over me sometimes. But at the same time, we have to be grateful for what we have. We have to be appreciative for the things we do have, because We all get handed bad cards. We all get rejected. We all get treated a certain way that we shouldn't be treated. But that doesn't give us a right to go do that to other people, because all that's doing is allowing the monster within all of us to continue to grow and the division to continue to rise. And we need the opposite of that now more than ever. You think as far as we've gotten with science and knowledge and technology, even though I still believe we have a long ways to go, you'd think that we would become more united than ever, that we would have gotten past all this nonsense long time ago, especially after fighting 2 bloody wars, well, 2 world wars. We've had, unfortunately, more wars since, because obviously we can't learn our lesson, because the monster keeps coming out, and the darkness of human nature keeps getting the better of us. I'm just tired of the discrimination. I'm tired of racism. I'm tired of intolerance. I'm tired of us coming up with terrible excuses to divide and belittle each other. It just drives me nuts, because we're all human beings. Yeah, we are. Even if I jokingly claim I'm from Mars, sometimes I wish I was. But the reality is, as far as I know, I'm also a human. And we need to do something. All of us, each of us, whatever it is, to try and deny that monster nourishment. And I think the best thing to do is to simply acknowledge its existence. Recognize the fact that even if you are a good person, you believe you are a good person, and you do your best every day to be a good person, and even if other people treat you like shit, or belittle you, or do things that hurt you, don't allow that to grow that monster inside of you. You have to deny the monster. Because if you don't, if you don't acknowledge its existence, and you think, oh, I'm a good person, you keep thinking that, well, I'm just doing this because, I have to do it for the greater good. Others have done things for the greater good too, and guess what? They turned out to be monsters as well. And maybe they didn't even believe they were evil. Maybe they believed that they were justified in doing what they did. Maybe Hitler actually thought he was a good guy. Maybe Hitler thought he was Stalin or Mao or all these monsters of the past. Maybe never once in their mind did it ever occur to them that they were carrying out acts of hatred and evil. I find that difficult to believe, but anything's possible. I think that's the issue. Some people go out doing evil things because they actually believe that they're doing good, when in reality, they're not. And the fact is, unfortunately, there's plenty of people out there that are like that. So, the monster is there inside you, inside me. But it doesn't have to control us. We can keep it at bay. We can keep it chained down. And sometimes, unfortunately, it is going to come out. That's just the reality we have to deal with. But we can ensure that that monster doesn't take full control over us. We have to learn the lessons from our past. We have to see the dark side of humanity, of the atrocities that have been carried out, in order to recognize that that monster has been there and still is there. But at the same time, think of the good. Think of the positive that's in your lives. Of all the things that you're lucky to have. The fact that we're lucky to be here on this beautiful world that we should take better care of. The fact that we have a sun, we have oxygen. The reality that not all of human history is bad. We've had some beautiful works of art and literature, philosophy, ideas, theories, things that have revolutionized our world. Medicines, for example, that have helped people. So there's definitely a lot of good. You have to take the good with the bad. And we can't be so fixated on the bad, because I think a lot of times we do like to bring humanity down. All of us in general. Because we do have flaws, we do have issues. And some people could say, in general, humanity does sometimes come across as a locust of sorts. As some sort of, parasite. But I do see the good in all of us. I do see that there is a goodness to humanity, that we do have decency, that we have humanity, that we can rise up and treat each other like equals, that we can reach our hand out to those that are on tough times. Doesn't matter where they come from, doesn't matter who they are, and say, hey, I'm going to lift you up. Because if we lift each other up, not only do we make ourselves better individually, but we also do so in the name of humanity. And we bring ourselves one step closer to being better. Because I truly believe that humanity can be better in time. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but we take these steps at the individual level, and maybe it spreads like a ripple effect across a lake or a pond, and eventually maybe more people will start treating each other better and start seeing each other as a fellow human being and get past these petty differences that we have. And if we do that, if we start talking to each other, we start actually listening to each other, we start meeting in the middle, trying to find common ground and learning to live and let live and stop persecuting or hating each other or treating each other like we're supposedly lesser than each other, and at the same time we find ways to go together forward, united as a people, that can lead towards brighter days. And we as a whole can deny that monster within us that only lurks in the shadows to carry out one thing, to bring out our most darkest nature, which is very predatorial, because it's, I guess, a survival instinct that we all have within us in order to live, in order to thrive, in order to be better than everybody else. But at the same time, that can lead to disastrous consequences. We've seen it time and time again throughout history. We've seen it through mass shooters. We've seen it through serial killers. We've seen it through awful, terrible words that have been spoken. But we've also seen good words of unity, of peace, of trying to bring people together, like, for example, Martin Luther King Jr. and others. And that's what it comes down to. Each and every one of us making the decision to deny that monster that lurks within each and every one of us.